Today we're doing one of the most popular day trips in Peru, Paracas and Huacachina, and honestly, if you're visiting Lima and only have one free day, this tour is so worth it. From standard coastal island packed with wildlife to massive towering sand dunes in the middle of the desert, today we're tackling two of the Peru's most famous adventure destinations, Paracas and Huacachina. But before you book those viral sandboarding tours you see all over TikTok and Instagram, you need to watch this video. We brought actual sandboard gear out to the desert, and let's just say expectation did not meet reality. Let's dive in. We had to wake up ridiculously early for this tour, like before sunrise early. But surprisingly, the bus ride was really comfortable and most people just slept the whole way there. Our first stop is Paracas, which is about 4-hour drive from Lima. The main attraction here is the Ballestas Islands, and they're often called the poor man's Galapagos. We join a speedboat tour to get out to them. Once you're on board, you seriously have to hold onto your head because the boat gets fast. On the way out, you also get to see a giant mysterious geoglyph carved into the hillside called the candelabra. Nobody really knows exactly who put it there or why.
The candelabra is 2,500 years old. Think about it, 2,500 years and despite the waves and the...
I'm not going to lie, the wind absolutely destroyed my hair. But once you reach the island, the sheer amount of wildlife is insane. You're completely surrounded by thousands of marine birds, humboldt penguins waddling on the rocks, and massive sea lions sunbathing and barking at the boats. Plus, the cliff and rock formation look absolutely unreal. It's an incredible breezy coastal experience that feels world away from the rest of Peru.
So we have here on Paracas. Welcome to the Peruvian movie house. Bienvenidos chicos al Valle de los Piqueros, una de las vistas más hermosas que tenemos acá en Paracas. Chicos, los pingüinos de fútbol son monógamos. ¿Qué quiere decir? Una sola pareja para toda la vida. Un poco aburrido, yo sé, pero así es como ellos funcionan. You know what? What are they doing? What are they doing? Why are they doing this sound? Like, why? ¿Por qué hacen este ruido? For 3 reasons. They are giving birth.
Looking at this island today, it's hard to imagine that this wildlife paradise was once the center of a massive multi-million-dollar global industry. Back in the 19th century, Peru experienced what was known as the Guano Age. Seabird droppings, or guano, were discovered to be a highly coveted nutrient-rich agricultural fertilizer, and the world couldn't get enough of it. But behind the massive wealth it generated lies a deeply tragic and dark history. Harvesting this guano was easily one of the most perilous, grueling industries of the time. Because of severe labor shortage, starting in the 1840s, tens of thousands of Chinese indentured workers were shipped to these coastal areas and nearby islands to dig and export the fertilizer. The conditions were absolute hell. Workers operated on blinding white cliff, hacking away at hardened ancient droppings for up to 20 hours a day. They were trapped in caves of dust, completely enveloped in suffocating and corrosive ammonia fumes with barely any water or proper tools. The mistreatment was so severe that workers were beaten if they stopped. As a Chinese person, learning about this specific landmark came with a shocking realization. My own people were the ones who built this entire global industry under some of the most brutal conditions in human history. This mistreatment was so severe that many chose to end their life by jumping from this very cliff just to escape. Decades later, archaeologists even recovered messages carved into the island rocks by the laborers, reading, "We are buried alive." It's a heavy piece of history to digest, but it completely changes how you look at these beautiful cliffs today. With the heavy history of the island settling in, we finally turned our boats back to the mainland. We thought our wildlife safari was officially over, but the ocean had one last magical surprise waiting for us on the way out. We passed this navigation buoy out in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, these guys claimed the best seats in the ocean. They were laying there, soaking up the sun and looking like they didn't have a single care in the world. Then suddenly, a small pod of dolphins joined us, swimming right alongside our wake and jumping clear out of the water. It was one of those rare, incredibly therapeutic moments that you just can't plan. The ultimate send-off from Paracas. With a brand new core memory locked in, we said goodbye to the coast, dried off and pointed our compass toward the massive sand dunes of the Peruvian desert. There is it. After leaving the coast behind, we hit the road toward the desert oasis of Ica. Along the way, we made a quick stop at a local winery to try some traditional Peruvian pisco. Our lunch and the pisco tasting were both at the same venue. Heads up, if you book this tour, even though lunch is marked as optional, the itinerary doesn't actually give you any time or space to eat anywhere else, so you're pretty much locked into paying extra for it. As for the pisco tasting, it's basically 5 to 7 different flavors poured into the exact same tiny plastic cup. Don't expect a deep dive into how it's made. It's definitely a tourist trap, designed to get you to buy their bottles. The venue itself is actually pretty charming and nice, but since you're on a group tour, it's just one of those stops you can't really avoid. Next up, Huacachina, the only natural desert oasis in South America. Driving into this region, the landscape shifts dramatically until you're suddenly staring at something that feels completely surreal. Rising out the coastal desert are towering sand dunes that look like massive fluid waves of gold frozen in time. Tucked directly into the heart of these massive peaks is a tiny emerald green lagoon lined with palm trees. It looks like a literal mirage. Standing at the crest of these dunes, watching the wind softly shift the sands, the scale of this desert is absolutely breathtaking. We only had about 20 minutes to explore the oasis because we were setting up our dune buggy ride. And warning, booking this is incredibly tricky. The tour options are so vague and don't clearly specify what you're getting. Some packages give you 1 hour, some give you 2, and others include 0 buggy time. Or wasn't specified at all, and surprise surprise, it was the 1 hour version. So we had to pay extra to upgrade to the standard 2 hours version. Make sure you message your tour operator to clarify before you buy. During our 20 minutes of free time, we wanted to rent snowboarding gear to try the viral trend of sandboarding down the dunes. Words of warning, the tour guides will try to discourage you from doing this because they want to avoid any medical or liability issues. Our guide was super dismissive and wouldn't give us any information on where to rent gear or how far out we could go. Fortunately, we found a rental shop right in front of where the tour bus parked. Huge pro tip here, if you're renting a snowboard, take a quick photo or video of the gear before you leave the shop. That way they can't try to charge you for pre-existing damage when you bring it back. With our gear locked down, the real fun was about to begin. So we grabbed our board, hiked through the burning hot desert sand to reach the buggies, and loaded up our gear. Once you're strapped in, you need to deck grip your camera because these drivers do not hold back. The second you leave the oasis behind, it becomes a non-stop adrenaline rush. You are flying over massive crests, drifting sideways along the edges of bowls, and plunging down near vertical cliffs. It feels exactly like a real-life roller coaster, except there are no tracks and the landscape changes with the wind. Honestly, even if you do nothing else in Huacachina, the buggy ride alone is worth every single penny. It's easily one of the most thrilling things we did in all of Peru. The dune buggy ride was absolutely insane. At some points, I genuinely thought we were about to fly off the dunes. You have to hold your phone like your life depends on it. But the buggy ride is only half the journey. Once your driver takes you deep into the heart of the desert, they pull up to the precipice of the tallest dunes, cut the engine, and tell you it's time to get out. This is where they hand you the boards and where our grand plan completely derailed. We got to the main event, sandboarding. I thought it would be easy, it was not. Now, if you scroll through travel videos online, you have probably seen people effortlessly carving down these golden dunes, looking incredibly cool. Being snowboarders, we thought, perfect, let's bring our actual snowboard gear and shred these dunes. Yeah, big mistake, massive disappointment. Here's your ultimate reality check. Do not get tricked by those sandboarding videos online. Sandboarding with actual snowboard gear is nothing like snowboarding on snow. Friction is your absolute enemy here. Sand doesn't compress or slide the same way snow does. Instead, it creates intense heat and drag. Unless you are on a near vertical drop and your board is freshly coated in a specialized heavy wax every single run, you will literally just sink into the sand and stop moving. Instead of carving cool lines, you end up awkwardly shuffling, getting choked on sand dust, and realizing that the only way people actually ride these dunes successfully is by lying flat on their stomach on cheap wooden boards like a sled. If you go into this expecting a desert version of a ski resort, you are going to be deeply disappointed. Even though we actually know how to snowboard, sandboarding is a completely different beast. My husband managed to ride down in a straight line, but me, not so much. After my massive failure and watching everyone else have a blast sliding down on their stomach, we decided to swallow our pride and join the group. This laying flat method is what the tour actually calls sandboarding, and is already included in the buggy ride. They give you this simple wooden board with a strap to hold onto, and honestly, it was so much fun. The only major downside, you have to completely wrap up your head and face unless you want to breathe in and swallow a gallon of desert sand. Even though our snowboarding dreams died in the desert, watching the sunset over the endless dunes of Huacachina was absolutely magical. Peru's desert coast is a wild, unpredictable ride. But honestly, watching the sunset over the dunes make the entire trip worth it. It was one of those moments that doesn't even feel real. After sunset, we had one last round of buggy ride into this crazy sand dunes cliff. And once we got back to the oasis, we returned our snowboard gear, which cost about $50 to rent. Now, because this tour is incredibly long, there was no time to get dinner. So before the buggy ride started, the tour guide provided an option to pre-order food from their suggested restaurant. Then you just pick it up after returning from the last buggy ride and before boarding the bus. This way you can eat dinner during the 4-hour drive back to Lima. This is completely optional and not included in our tour package, so we decided to have dinner back in Lima. We finally hit the road home completely exhausted, absolutely covered in sand, but so glad we'd experienced this. Will I recommend it? 100% yes. This ended up being one of my favorite memories from Peru. If you're visiting Peru and want something adventurous without planning everything yourself, joining a tour for Paracas and Huacachina is honestly the easiest option. As long as you have one full day to spare while staying in Lima, you can actually pull off one of the most action-packed day trips in Peru. By joining a guided tour, you can escape the city for a day to explore the coastal wildlife of Paracas and the massive desert dunes of Huacachina, all in one shot. It makes for a very long day with an early wake-up call. But if you're short on time, it's hands down the best way to experience two entirely different worlds in one single day. Have you ever tried sandboarding, or did you get tricked by the online videos too? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next adventure.